Hey, it's Jeff, the Orlando Parks nerd. We just got back from Epcot and we got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind not once, not twice, but 3 times in one day. Now you might be thinking, okay, big deal. Who cares? So you rode a ride a few times. What's the big deal? Well, the reason that's unusual is because currently Guardians of the Galaxy, you can only ride with either getting a boarding group or by purchasing the individual lightning lane. So that means for most people, they're only going to be able to ride it one time because they're not going to want to pay for the individual lightning lane. And for those that are willing to pay for the individual lightning lane, well, then they might be able to ride it once or twice if they, assuming they get a boarding group as well. So how do you get to ride it a third time? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. Stick around. I'm going to share all the details with you. I knew as soon as Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind opened, I knew we were going to want to ride this thing as many times as we could. And so I planned our day accordingly to make sure we would be able to do that. So let's start with the first 2 rides, which of course are the ways I just mentioned. The way we rode the first 2 times were, number 1, we got a boarding group. So you have 2 opportunities to get a boarding group on any day that you go to Epcot. There's a 7 a.m. opportunity and there's a 1 p.m. opportunity. You can get one or the other. You can only get one of those boarding groups on any given day. So that was ride number 1. I was able to get a boarding group at 7 a.m. For later that morning. So that worked great. And if you want to know more about how to get a boarding group, you want to see what that looks like, check out my video. I'll link to it here and in the description. So be sure to look at that. Okay. But like I said, we knew we were going to want to ride it as many times as we could. So the next thing I did was I did splurge for the individual lightning lane. So it was on that day, it was $14 a person. So I spent like $42 for the 3 of us to get an individual lightning lane. I bought that and you're able to pick the time. So I chose like right around noon for that second ride. And if you want to know more about individual lightning lanes, how they work, what it looks like when you purchase one, I have a video about that, which I'll link to here and in the description as well. Okay, so those are the first 2 ways that you can ride it. Now, what about the third? So the third ride is going to take a little bit more planning, okay? First of all, you need to be staying at a deluxe resort on Walt Disney World property. Now I know those can be very pricey, but there are a couple of recommendations I have for you. Number 1, the Swan and Dolphin are considered deluxe resorts and they're a lot more reasonably priced than a lot of the Disney resorts. Now what we ended up doing, we stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge and we did that by renting Disney Vacation Club points through David's DVC rentals. And that made it significantly cheaper than had we gone through Disney. So you might initially say, oh my gosh, I can't afford a deluxe resort. But there are ways to book them. Like I said, Swan Dolphin, or you can rent DVC points and you can save actually quite a bit of money on those deluxe resorts. And the reason that is key for this third ride is because of a relatively new perk for deluxe resort guests called extended evening hours. On certain nights at certain parks, they stay open an extra 2 hours for the deluxe resort guests. So that is how you're able to get this third ride on Guardians of the Galaxy, by taking advantage of the Epcot extended evening hours. Now, the second part to this is you got to make sure that you book your park reservation for Epcot on a day where they're having extended evening hours, because they don't do it every night. So when we were there, it was Monday nights. So I made sure to book my park reservation on a Monday for Epcot. Or, if you have a park hopper for that day, then you're okay as well. So just make sure you're aware of the day that the extended evenings are happening. And I'm saying Mondays, but I would double check just to make sure it hasn't changed. But that's how it was when we were there. Okay, so once you've got that squared away, you know which day has extended evening hours and you've got your deluxe resort booked, now you're ready to get your third opportunity. So the way that works is on the nights with extended evening hours, there is a 6 p.m. opportunity to get a boarding group. So that's how I got our third ride. At 6 o'clock, we were in the park. We stopped a little before 6. I got into the app. I went into the virtual queue just like I had done at 7 a.m. that morning. And I was able to get us another boarding group. And that time, that had a return time of, I think it was around 9:30. So that made for an awesome evening at Epcot. Because at 9 o'clock, we watched Harmonious. That was really cool. And then we had our final ride on Guardians of the Galaxy. So that was a really cool way to end the night. So that is how we were able to ride Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times in one day. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate a like. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the parks.